Welcome to PushMowerRepair.com. Today we're going to show you how to replace the diaphragm in a 3.5 or 4 horsepower Briggs & Stratton engine. Okay, the parts you'll need for this video is a 13mm socket, an 11mm socket, a flathead screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver, and the diaphragm kit that we sell on the website. So here's the engine we'll be working on today. This one features the automatic choke, and it's very common on the old 3 horsepower Briggs & Stratton engines. Some of them have the air hose, some of them have the normal Briggs & Stratton filter. First we're going to start by removing the air hose. It's the same if you've got the filter, you just unscrew this flathead here. And there you can see this is the carburetor that we're talking about. It has the automatic choke in here that opens automatically. It should close automatically. And so its function can be affected. Like this one, it's a little bit stuck. And so we're going to replace the diaphragm, and that should hopefully clean up this carburetor so it will run and work again. These carburetors are usually held on by 3 bolts. The main one is in the center here, and it holds both the starter and the carburetor on, and it's about 13mm generally. Then there's one here that's generally 11mm. And then there's one under here that's also 11mm. Once that one's off, everything should be loose. Okay, so now you can see that the carburetor is still connected by this linkage, and the best way to get that off is to pull it down slightly and then tilt it that way and pull, and it'll come off, and we're free. You can just see the tab that's got on there. And now we can take off this part of the carburetor and replace the diaphragm and gasket. This carburetor has 5 screws that hold the top part on. There's here, 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 and one around the back there. So we're going to remove all of those. You want to be careful not to lose this rubber bit here. It's not held on by anything, you can actually pull it off, as this is important when you put the carburetor back on and back together. Once you've removed all 5 screws, in some carburetors there's a Phillips head screw inside here, not all of them, only some, and so we're going to remove that screw next. Once you undo that screw, it can stay in there, and this should wobble and should be loose, and you should be able to remove this top part of the carburetor now. Once you've got this top part of the carburetor removed, you want to be careful not to lose this screw that we just undid, and also this spring here. It is quite well attached, but just keep an eye on it. The things you want to look out for, if you see these meshes that suck petrol in and out, see that one's quite clean, whereas this one's very dirty, and so we're going to clean that one. You want to get all the junk you can out of that, because that's going to block the petrol flow. And this here is the diaphragm and gasket that we're going to replace, and so if we just gently peel it off, it should come off fairly easily, but not all the way, and I'll show you what to do next in order to get it off. So if we flip the carburetor over, you can see here there's a little Phillips head screw. We're going to get our screwdriver and undo that. Once you undo that, this part should just gently pop off. You might want to give it a little clean and make sure you don't wreck that gasket there. And then in here, you'll see this bit is what activates the automatic choke when the diaphragm pumps up and down. And in order to remove that, you just need to get this part and remove it from the hole that it was in. So that little tab there usually sits in that hole. And all you do is pull it out, and then you'll be able to pull it down out the bottom. And there you go, you've got your gasket. And your spring is there too. And that's all ready to be cleaned, and then we can put the gasket back on. After you remove the diaphragm, you want to be careful not to lose this spring and little washer thing. The spring and the washer go like that, and that side faces up and it sits there. So you don't want to lose that. Also, some of the carburetors have this little locking pin in the middle. Some have a screw. This one has a locking pin instead of a screw. And so that one, you want to make sure you don't lose that. And you want to give this area a good clean. Here, in here, and all these holes with an air compressor. And then also, you want to clean all this out. These filters especially. It can be done with an air compressor or some carby cleaner if you can soak it in that. And then next, we're going to put on the new diaphragm. Okay, so we've got a carburetor replacement diaphragm kit that we're going to use. So if we pull that out, we have this, and in the box is also a spring. So the spring replaces the other spring that we took out. This diaphragm comes out of here with the hook in it. And if you look at this piece of paper, it's quite handy. It's got instructions to help you install it. If you'd like to read those, they can help you out too. You want to grab the spring and washer that we showed before and put that in. Then you want to put the diaphragm on. You want to put it on so the big hole goes over the bigger jet, like that. It's quite easy if you hold it this way, then the other spring washer won't fall out. You want to put your thumb over it if you're going to flip it around. You want to hook in this hook into the choke, which goes like that. You want to get your spring. You want to clip it in place on the carburetor, just there. Like that. Now you're ready to put it back on the mower. If yours has the little pin, you leave the pin there as you put it on. But if it's like the screw type that we showed earlier, you just put a screw through after you put the carburetor diaphragm back on. So we're going to flip it over carefully. We're going to put it back down. You want to make sure the screws are lining up and that the choke's in. And then you can put the screws back in. And put this cover here back on. Once it's all back together, a good way to see the benefits of what you've done is to push the choke. If you push the choke down, it should spring right back. You can see it's quite good, it's springing right back. And the mower should function well when the diaphragm carburetor is placed back on.